underway and recording.
All right, it's July 7th, 2023, and this is the July 7th, 2023 edition of Drinks Professionals Network. How's everybody's summer going?
Excellent.
Hey, Ryan, we got a lot of regulars back here. This is nice. I wanted to tee it up by saying I had the pleasure of spending a little time with Vanessa last week at her fine facility, tasting some of her wares. And yes, and I haven't forgotten about our discussion. I'm just waiting for people to come back from vacation.
Okay. I'm thinking, I've been thinking about it and researching since
Yeah.
then. So
Good, so we'll talk a little bit more about it separately. But I just wanted to throw out there that you said that Stephanie Mark is coming, right?
Yes.
Because they've been making a lot of headlines with all the analysis on the beer, the Bud Light meltdown.
Right.
And there's interesting conversations there in terms of, is it really all about the one event, or is it a bigger picture there? So anyway, let's William Mendoza. Why don't we have you say hello, give everyone a little 411 and give us a little sense of what you're seeing in your world.
My name is William Mendoza. I go by Bill. I just finished 32 years in the industry, 27 with Bacardi and 4 with Campari. I took a semi-retirement and I'm opening up my own brokerage ship here in Florida and probably expanding into Georgia and Nevada, where I did a lot of business in the West. I'm just kind of getting back into it, and I was talking with Carrie Kennedy last week or a couple weeks ago, and she told me she was on this call, and she asked me if I joined, and I said, yeah, I'll jump in and see what you guys are talking about, see what kind of insights I could get, and just looking to get my business going. What's up, Carrie?
There she is.
Hey,
Oh, she's mobile and frozen.
I'm mobile. I'm in New York. Sorry. Can you hear
There
me?
you are. Yeah, we hear you. I think your video is freezing. You might want to go audio only and save your bandwidth.
Okay, I'm in New York, and I'm in a car.
Probably in a tunnel. Well, Bill, welcome. I just,
I'm not on Long Island,
as
but I
Carrie
get
probably explained to you, this little gathering, it's been an interesting journey. It started out as a COVID alternative to in-face conventions or everything, but it's really kind of continued as a kind of a really good lead sharing and problem solving group. And most everybody on here has been here at least once or twice, and many of them every month. So it really has become kind of a good opportunity to, what our intention was always to supercharge networking beyond LinkedIn, which has become very much spam in many ways for many of us, and really have some meaningful conversations. So it really is all about everybody contributing and participating. So I would love to learn a little bit more about what your vision is for your brokerage and what your areas of focus are going to be. Are you going to be brokering brands, repping brands?
Yeah, I'm going to be brokering and managing brands. I already have a couple brands on right now. It's a Somers Cream Liqueurs and Curveball Barbecue Whiskey. I'm talking with a few mezcal brands right now, so I want to get a good range of portfolio of brands, probably 8 to 10, and grow the business there, and then hire some people in each of the other markets to do some part-time or full-time work if it's available.
Nice. And so when you said you were at Bacardi, that was your most recent, or was that Campari most recent?
Yeah, most recent.
And what
I did 23 years with Bacardi, 4 years with Campari, and back 5 years with Bacardi.
Oh, well, it's a good sign where they welcome you back.
Yeah, sometimes.
Exactly. So Carrie, how do you guys know each other?
Bill for several years after I worked for another one of our colleagues, and we had lunch a couple of weeks ago, and I told him about the group and said this was something I think he needed to be a part of.
Well, that's great. All right,
We
well,
stayed
glad
in
you said
contact
that,
and-
Yep, and so also I wanted to welcome Amanda's here, Amanda from Reed Mobile Marketing. How are you?
Doing good. We're finally summer in Montana, so you know. But yeah, things have been good. I have Reed Mobile Marketing, and then I also have Craft United, which is a brokerage here in Montana, a liquor brokerage. So we focus on sales and marketing for alcohol brands, alcohol related brands, and so we're just finally able to really be on the road. It's amazing that I've been able to make this, but yeah, just been traveling a lot, and we focus on smaller craft brands, so it's a lot of time with our liquor store owners, just getting them to know the brands and things like that.
Mhm, mhm. How many?
So when
brands
you
do
coming to New York?
I'd love to come to New York. Right now we have 18 different brands that we're working with, and we just got done doing a margarita and whiskey fest, which is a great way to expose. We had about 2,000 people there, so expose a lot of different people to, it was only our brands, so we like to do a lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
The
All
brands
right,
must be happy when they get that exclusive visibility.
Yeah, and a lot of my brands fly out and represent, you know, the owners will come out, or they're for those events, but we try to do them 4 or 5 times a year.
So are you seeing any summer trends emerging? Unique to Montana?
Emerging not so much. The continued trend of RTDs. We're fortunate to have a couple RTDs that are, one of them has been doing really well for us, and one of them we just brought in. It's actually in a box, kind of like wine, instead of, and so it's a little bit different, and so people are really liking that. But RTDs is really obviously the trend for summer, but really a lot of my stores are wanting to diversify, so and have a lot of variety. They said last year it was like high noon was everything, which we all know that.
Mhm.
And this year they're not getting as many people coming in and only wanting high noon. They want the variety. So that's good for anybody in the RTD space that wants to you know, get into some of the stores and things like that. That and tequila continue to be the trend. Is just and all of my stores are increasing their space and availability of tequilas, because it's what everybody wants.
Yep, and especially in the summer season of margarita season.
Yeah.
Tammy, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. Good. It's nice to be back. I was traveling for a couple of months, so it was hard to make some meetings, but I'm home and glad to be here. I was in New York for 6 weeks, doing a lot of work. I work with the Ultimate Spirits Challenge. So I was there for all of May and part of June working on that. And then in my free time, working on selling my brand of Pisco. So New York was insane, and I came kind of limping back to Mexico where I live. And here in Mexico, I worked for a company called Experience Agave. We do tequila and mezcal tours. So I'm very kind of involved in the agave spirit space. My partner is a mezcal producer, so really involved in the agave spirit space. And then I'm seeing a lot of, I guess on my end, when I was in New York, I was really happy to hear a famed bartender tell me that it's Pisco's year, which as a Pisco brand owner, my heart just exploded.
Yes.
And it's really exciting because it's truly, I've seen Pisco pop up a lot on menus around the country. and seeing like you know, popular bars on social media including it in their cocktail programs, which is exciting. So I hope it's Pisco's year. And what else? Today also my boss and mentor, the pre-order started for his book. It's called A Field Guide to Tequila. I'll leave a link in the messages because it's a really amazing book, and he's kind of a leading scholar on agave spirits. So it would be interesting to everyone considering that tequila is such a hot topic. And yeah, aside from that, I recently learned about the Museum of Distilled Spirits. I don't know if anyone else is involved with them or have heard of them. I thought it was a cool thing. I had a meeting with the founder the other day, and I don't know, I think that's kind of all I'm seeing on my end. But it's all very exciting.
Well, that's a lot. I think,
Yeah.
interesting on the Pisco, because I also noticed, I guess it was probably a month ago, that there was a Pisco sour featured cocktail, you know, on a menu, which I hadn't seen before.
Great.
Yeah, because I remember being in Chile, you know, 6 years ago, and that's all they have. It's like the
Yeah.
number one drink, Pisco sour.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I try and work hard, like Pisco sour, especially the Peruvian Pisco sour is delicious with egg whites in it. But in Peru, there's an entire canon of Pisco cocktails. So I try and like expose people to those drinks too, because they're so delicious. And I call it Pisco sour jail, which is fine because the Pisco sour is really good. But there are tons of other drinks in Peru also that we use Pisco in. And then seeing the creativity in bars across the country is just like wild. Yesterday I saw like a purple rice horchata with Pisco, and it's like, wow, yes, that's where we want to go with it. So cool.
What is Pisco in terms of ingredients? What's the
Grapes. And in Peru, there's a set of 8 grapes that we can use, and it's all a natural fermentation, single distilled, always in Peru. And whereas Chile, it's different grapes and at least double distilled and proofed down with water. There's aging. In Peru, there's none of that. So they're actually really different products.
So it's basically, is it a cognac?
No, because it's unaged.
Okay.
And single distilled. The only other spirit in the world single distilled is like shochu. So it's actually, the Peruvian variety is actually really, really, really different. And there's native grapes to Peru. It's really fascinating. We actually designed a virtual course called the Pisco Certificate course, where folks can get certified in Pisco to teach all of these details, because if people knew more, they would want to try it more and explore the whole category, and in fact establish the category, which kind of doesn't, it's also kind of limping along. So we're working on it.
Well, good for you. That's yeah, I mean, I think the idea of educating, I know that a lot of what Ryan does is about educating people to be much more informed and not just to be models pouring liquid to lips.
Totally, yeah.
So Ryan, do you do some training programs, don't you?
Yes, they're virtual online available. And currently at the marketing company, I want to ask a few questions about online stores and what people's preferred distributors are for their online stores, because we're building more online stores for our brands and clients than ever. And I am interested to know has a favorite, and with all the 3-tier system talk that's going on, who everyone prefers in that space. If anyone.
No.
Is anyone shipping online, DTC?
I use a few companies. Can you hear me? My
Yeah.
PC just kicked on. Yeah, I use, you ever heard of Tipsy? Tipxy? Hello?
Yeah, they're
You're
jackhammering
there.
it next
You're
door, so
there.
I'm putting it on mute when I'm not speaking, but yes, I'm listening.
There's Tipsy. There's another one in California. I can't remember their name. I don't know if it's Caskers. They're pretty good.
So are you listed
Liquid,
in, so
Huh?
you're listed in all of those, and what kind of volume are you getting?
and then I have a local liquor store that ships for me too, what's near my warehouse. And then there's Liquor Mart. You ever heard of Liquor Mart?
No, we're partnered with one person out of DC, just because DC's extremely friendly in this space. And then we also have a partner in California.
Yeah, I have one in DC that I utilize as well. And one in
Have you
Florida.
learned about BevMax? Based in
I
Connecticut?
know you told me about him. I gotta definitely, that's Mike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta talk to Mike because I was
I was just in his stores yesterday, actually.
I didn't know he was.
Reardon?
Yeah. 'Cause
I
Are
that
you
didn't know-
makes
asking about, Ryan, are you asking about retailers that ship for D2C? Is that what you're asking about? I'm sorry, I missed the question.
I'm
Yeah.
actually saying that, yeah, BevMax.
Distributor
which
for online
is
fulfillment houses.
Yeah. Yeah, so our experience, because we work with a bunch of brands, obviously, that run e-commerce, it's part of what we do for our clients. And there's a number of them. I mean, in the last 5 years, and especially since the pandemic, there have been, these guys have come out of the woodwork. And what's interesting is that most of the newer platforms are built by engineers. They're not built by spirits people. So in the like 10 years ago, you had Passion Spirits and Speakeasy who kind of owned the space because they were there weren't very many. And now you've got Excel Pay, BevStack, Thirsty. You've got Cask and Barrel out of Florida, which handles everything. But the tricky part for us, because when brands come to us and say, hey, we built this store, or we're building a Shopify store. Actually had a conversation this morning with a brand who's building a Shopify store as a standalone. And so we kind of directed them to look at one of these third parties who builds on Shopify so that the customer journey isn't go to my brand page, and then when you click buy online, it's jolting and it takes you to another URL. And because there's a lot of fallout there, people don't think that they're on the same site. So anyway, it's an emerging space. There's a lot of really good platforms that have done a really good job. And the reason I say they're built by engineers is because they don't have blinders on, as a lot of people in the industry for a long time typically have tunnel vision, whereas these guys are building to adapt. And so when we say as a digital partner, hey, we need this because it's better for our customers and your customers to sell more, they'll do that, right? They'll build that, they'll tag that on, they'll put in that plugin, whatever that might be. But it's still a challenge. And from the brand's side, I can't speak to it, but finding a fulfillment partner and there's more and more of them that are becoming like exclusive for e-commerce, and they're making their business on that. But what we see a lot with those, some of those that I mentioned that have been around for a while, is that they've got their retail relationships, but they're retailers that are first they're brick and mortar and then they're e-com. So what happens is those orders come in, people expect those bottles to be on their doorstep in 2 to 3 days, which is realistic with good partners. But then that retailer will let it sit in their back office until, because they say, well, when I get 10 orders, then I'll go ship them all at the same time.
Not necessarily. I've been doing this for a while now because my product wasn't in stores. I had to rely on partners and even, retailers that I've been partnered with. I have 65,000 customers online in various aspects, and I have like their data. Like if I can go directly to them with a club or do something, or when I'm doing an event, I just had the Taste of Black Spirits last week, and all those people that came because I sent the email to them, and they purchased, they bought, they bought from the vendors, myself, and even retailers. For me, it's been very, very good because this industry is not well diverse, and being a Black woman distillery called Black Mama didn't help in the early days. Now everybody want a piece of Black Mama, but
Oh, yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, I think you're talking about email marketing, which is awesome. And if you have a list that robust, then obviously you're going to capitalize on it. I was just
Yeah.
mentioning the fact
So
that
I have I have online sales as well, because I also have Black Mama Tea cafes, and then I utilize several different partners. So it's really good if you can make it effective. And recently I had my customer, I co-pack, and I do I'm doing Ron Isley. I used him as a case study for the first time. He had pre-orders. So I was able for him to have his website, and I partnered with all my partners just to see if this would actually work. And it worked, just on the first day that he was on TV, that he was able to do, put his website, and it was, pre-orders done. I'm an engineer, structural, but I did do coding. So we were able to put the API and implement that seamlessly through the partners, through almost like a market channel. And then it would go out to wherever the locations,
Sure.
you can code that API on the back end where a customer never even know. So if it went to Liquor Mart or to the retailer in DC who can ship out to a lot of different places, they were ready and things were going out like within 2 days. So it was a big feat with putting that together, but I'm thinking about implementing that for other brands that I will be distilling for, as probably something that can work, because we all worked. I have about 15 partners that worked that out, and we were able to get everything out, especially for the launch. And
So what is your
for
what's your
25,000.
strategy in terms of reorders, utilizing that for reorders versus for launch?
The reorders always work because we send them, of course, email. People email, and then they're in our we create a club. Like I have a Black Mama Club, VIP club. So, we send out an email. If I'm doing a specific launch of something, then I would, I can do it exclusively, for my clients. But a lot of times it's email. Now we're starting to use text, but that's really for the younger generation. The texting, a lot of people don't like getting stuff by text. Seem like the older generation, like my age, they pretty much open up their email when they opt in, and when they're looking for something, let's say like a special occasion, or an event, we send the email. And then we send also the other thing that's working is the QR codes. I did an event with QR codes in the city, and there was a QR code. I wish I could send the video, but there was a QR code next to each brand. And the people who came in, they couldn't buy the bottles then because they didn't want to take it, but they all made payments right there with the QR code. And then they were able to share, this is a younger generation, they were able to share the QR codes with their friends, and then they were able to buy. So I'm still kind of learning that. So I'm going to put a QR code.
So did it go right to an online store?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put a QR code now on the brands, on my brands, and for the brands that I'm making for, I'm telling them now to put a QR code that'll, bring the information right to it. The Isleys did a commercial, and I got the commercial. I don't think it aired yet, but they have a QR code on the commercial, and we're going to see how that actually will work. with him having, that run on BET or wherever it's running, whether it's social media or the what is it, YouTube, or on his tour. So we're gonna see how that actually works, so because he's in
I
Jamaica
was
Works
right now.
thinking-
great for us on tour. Whenever we have a product on tour, Live Nation will put the QR code up onto a big screen in the arena. And it works great for sales. We sold Britney's fragrance endlessly like that.
Yeah, that's been really good. So, yeah,
But we have
I
a
think this is moving
fulfillment
into
house.
a.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, I was just saying that moving forward into the future, I see how fast the technology is moving, and it'll help a
Well,
lot
I
of
think the
brands.
technology of QR codes has been around. It wasn't until COVID that anyone paid attention to.
I agree with that 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
we specialize in mobile marketing, so text message marketing, and I've been doing it for 15 years. And do you know how I tried to get all of my smaller bars and restaurants to do QR codes? And then COVID happens and we did mobile menus on QR codes and everything like that. But one thing to keep in mind, like if you're doing social media, YouTube, things like that, and commercials, is your QR code you actually have to scan with a phone. So make sure that you're thinking about where that person is going to be viewing it. So it's great on a screen where you can scan it with a phone, just like we say oftentimes, like if you're trying to get somebody to opt into a text message contest or whatever it is, you want a link if it's going to be displayed on a phone, because you don't want them to have to remember that text or something like that. Same thing with a QR code. If you're going to be viewing it on a phone, it doesn't make sense to have a QR code there because I can't scan it. I can't utilize it. So just make sure you're looking at the placements and where you're using those. And the other thing I would say is text it's really not necessarily as much younger. Like it's up to about 50, we see a really, really, really high redemption rate with text. You just have to make sure you're sending special offers, not like, hey, we still exist. The email's
You
great
don't
for,
wanna
hey, we
spam
still
them with-
exist.
Spam them with stuff. You want to give them something that's of value.
Exactly. So with our event, we used a lot of QR codes and text messages, and but it was basically, here's $5 off your entry to the event or something like that. Like that's the only time we send a text, is if it's something that is really important or a special offer.
Cool thing about the QR codes is there's platforms now where you can serve up dynamic content based on time of day, based on location. So we can, you can put a code on a package, and in Florida, when they scan the code, it'll serve up content that's based on the beach and tropics. And then in Montana, it'll serve up content that's based on mountains and that just super, super cool. And it creates these really killer journeys. But yeah, Amanda and Michael, yeah, absolutely. It's not just, hey, we still exist. I mean, the thing that drives me nuts is when I go to a product and I scan the code and it takes me to the homepage of their website. And it's
Right.
like, what am I doing? Like,
Right. It's got to be. It's got
Give
to
me
take
something
you right to a
contextual.
point where you can one-click action.
yeah.
What were
I-
you saying about I wanted to hear what she was saying about her fulfillment in Montana.
Ours isn't in Montana. Ours is
No,
in
that's Amanda.
Maryland and California.
Ah,
And it's a full fulfillment warehouse. So if there's a book with purchase, if there's certain codes, they'll do the packaging as desired, which is because what we're up against is distilleries or any suppliers are shipping, calling it olive oil. They're not putting the alcohol packaging on the packages because the labels are more expensive. So it cuts into obviously all the costs and profit margins. And so there's a lot of shipping going on that's illegal and that's being called olive oil. And there's a lady here in Vegas, she's also up in Wyoming. She's got spirits and spice. And she actually added spices and olive oils to her store just so her shipping was a little cleaner. And in working with Worldwide Express, getting their liquor license, it's like, how do we because they're going up against people that are saying, we're shipping already, we don't need this, because they're doing it illegally. And so we created over the weekend a concept of, okay, let the distillery package it as they wish, or the supplier, put it in the box and then put a bag around it, and they'll ship it to our distributor if that's what they want. And then it has to rest 24 hours at the 3-tier system. It's got to rest 24 hours in Maryland. So it'll ship to Maryland and then Maryland out. Now, granted, that could add 7 days on to the shipping when people want it yesterday, like Brian was saying. And so if they don't want to absorb the inventory in to one of these, distributor warehouses for shipping, then there is at least a loophole for them. But we've not had any challenges with our distributor out of Maryland. He's great. And the girl out of California so far has been good, and they're great with their packaging. So we haven't seen any error, but I hear a lot of empty packages, delay of packages. So I was just curious if anyone had a shipping distributor that they truly loved. Make sure we were with the right one.
Sounds like you're with the right one. I might need to get their info to add them to my group.
Well, what we're doing is we're partnered with a club. So we've got a whiskey club, we've got a vodka club. So as brands come to us for their stores, we can then throw them in these clubs and get their brands out there, because everyone's trying to avoid the distributor network state by state.
Yeah, and the good thing here in New York, as a distillery, I get to sell direct to on and off premise, here, so I can eliminate Southern or R&DC, but I have R&DC in other states, so if I can just get rid of R&DC in Texas, that would be nice.
Like Nevada being a contract state, everyone's kind of just stuck, and they don't have sales reps, they don't have delivery drivers. Like, it's just become a slight disaster.
It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
Hotels are giving people credit of points and things if they forego housekeeping. Like, we just don't have humans wanting to work anymore.
I know,
Dixie
but
Paula is back joining us. She's been listening in. Tell us what's new in your world.
When was our last meeting?
Well, the last one you were on, I didn't spend a couple months.
Yeah, I will share, because this is kind of exciting for me. I am the first female. I don't think we had this meeting since May, but Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I'm the first woman to own an Indy car. So my car raced at the Indy 500, and I got to go around the track 3 laps at 185 miles an hour. Last night, I just tried out my simulator. So now we have a racetrack simulator that we're installing it, and a golf simulator in the distillery. But it's pretty cool to have this spirit of Speedway for Indianapolis. And we're doing kind of an incubator opportunity for everybody to launch, all the drivers to launch their own brand within the spirit of Speedway model. So I'm putting it out there that next year I'll be the first woman owner, not driver, to win the Indianapolis 500. Ed Jones is our driver, and he's super great, and just we're really excited about that. And that also brought me another brand with Danica Patrick Rose. I don't have it in front of me, have it in my fridge. So I'm now representing manufacturing and representing her brand as well. That's a wine, she has a winery and a wine brand. So moving into motorsports for women, and I'm really excited about that because it's just a cool space and the people are cool. The event was over the top. Of course, whenever you get to do first class anything, right? It's just that experience is so over the top. And it brings more people than the Kentucky Derby and the Super Bowl combined. It's crazy space. So that was a pretty cool
experience. Is this car that you're talking about, is this running in the circuit? This is racing in the circuit all season?
Yes, it'll be, we're assuming we qualify in August, but we will. Then we'll be all through the next year and then running for next Memorial Day.
And what brand is it that's on the car?
Striped Pig,
Striped Pig?
Sycamore Biopharma, Ghost Monkey Brewery.
Oh, it's everything.
It's everything. Yeah, all the labels. So anyway, but it's a whole new interesting group of people, right? And coming out of Formula One and NASCAR and hearing their views on alcohol and, you know, the regulations, it's just a whole different set of people, but really, really cool, given, you know, how everybody knows, right? Running moonshine and NASCAR and the whole history. So it's kind of cool.
You should check out Whiskey on Wheels in Las Vegas in November. It's the
Okay.
Formula One race, and it's a whiskey event. I don't know if Ryan's familiar with it or not, but
I've been in
looks
motorsports for 20 years, Paula, so if
Really?
you need any, if you ever want to talk on the side.
I do. Would you please email me so I have your stuff right there?
That's
I'm
where I
trying
was
to,
over the weekend, was at the Chicago street race for NASCAR.
You know,
All right.
it's come full circle because my dad, when I grew up, used to take me to the stock car races every weekend. So it's like I had that in my blood anyway. And I used to always, I don't know if anybody's from New England, but it was Riverside Park in Agawam, Massachusetts, and then, you know, just all the race car stuff around Massachusetts, Connecticut. And so I feel like it's so weird how I ended up back here. But here's the hilarious thing. My partner that owns the car is an ordained minister, also from Connecticut, where I'm from. I'm an ordained minister too. So we're calling ourselves the Faster Pastors. And we literally, we did a church service on Memorial Day weekend, right down in one of the pit garages. It was just, we had so many people come. It was just really cool. So, you know, yeah, like women in motorsports. So anything I need to learn, I'm like trying to understand everything and the complexities and meeting with the people. And
I think the hardest challenge is staying away from children. They're just super adamant about you making sure you're not marketing to children. So photos with children with alcohol in the car and those things is where things get a little risky. So just watch out for that.
yeah, I have that across the board with everything we're doing. Our new game, I don't know if anybody saw the press release, but we will be releasing in August. So we structured away from Stripe Pig Distillery into stripepig.com because we do have so many activities now that are coming out with our Web3 technologies, our blockchain. And I hear you all talking about QR codes. I'm happy to let you know that my book, if and I would love it if you ought to all download a pre-sale copy, is only 99 cents. But it's the Amazon best-selling new release in 8 categories since June 3rd. It's called Alphabet Soup. And if you Google, you have to go, you can't do it on the app, you have to go to the webpage, but if you go to Amazon and do Alphabet Soup NFT, it should come up. If not, throw my name in there. So that's been an exciting new thing. And in there, I'm talking about new ways to use technologies for marketing and advertising. What, in addition to QR codes, what things are now blockchain technologies that replace QR codes. And just for, I don't know who, if you guys are around how old, but in 2006, when I launched my first brand and I put all QR codes on my labels, the distributors made me reprint all my labels and take all the QR codes off just to show you how far we've come. So I was so forward back in the day that when I put it out there, they couldn't handle it. It upset everybody. It frustrated everybody. And they made me pull them off on the next round of labels. So here we are.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, moving on.
And now it's back. Right.
And now here we are. But they're even better. There's better applications and better ways to use them for sure.
Well, obviously, when the first QR codes first came out, you had to have a QR reader app separate from your camera. And that was really the big breakthrough when all the cameras became able to be the QR readers, because everybody's camera.
In Web3, the entire label becomes a hologram, and you can use the entire label without having to download apps or have a QR reader
Right.
to be able to take you to instant opportunities in social media that you then can share that content, have download links for purchasing, and people can actually get paid under our new Web3 loyalty programs that we're almost final with that coming out. People will be able to share all of the content. It's a shared e-commerce space. And then we can track 10 people deep and pay everybody for sharing content. So we're less worried about being influencers to have to sell products. We want everybody to make a revenue stream on sharing content. And that's how we're developing the hub at our distillery. It's going to end up being a crypto distillery. And just the newer technologies were our latest press release, which got picked up in all the Web3 magazines across the globe, including here, the Boston Herald, just talking about the updates and technologies in the alcohol industry and the utilizations that we're putting out there. So it's very exciting stuff for sure. From a technology perspective, I've been in the doldrums myself personally, working on the financial perspectives with I'm part of a couple of worldwide leader groups, and recognizing what's happening in the United States and what is going to happen over the next decade is challenging for me to keep up my optimism. I've never been so discouraged, and I'm trying to look the other way and say, stay focused on what you do and creating possibility and just keep moving. But it is one of the first times, I mean, I'm literally shopping to buy another home outside of the United States. So I'm a little nervous.
Well, I just pre-ordered your book.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, congratulations, Paula.
Thank you.
Great. Well, that was a lot, as always. A lot of good stuff.
I can't wait for you guys to see some of these things actually, because it takes so long. You know, I mean, our Web3 build out of the whole entire store, we're actually up, like now you were talking about e-commerce. You could go to my website and try to buy a spirit, and it will look to you like you're just buying a regular spirit, but actual wallets are being created now with every purchase. But we're creating these wallets seamlessly so that to the consumer, it doesn't look like a wallet. But for us behind the scenes, we can gather and garner so much more information, and we can stuff these wallets with opportunities based on how they're opting in. And they don't even know it. It's just the new technologies.
So when you basically, it's when you're able to put in offers or coupons, I guess you'd call it.
Yes, loyalty points, offer them an opportunity to purchase something right on the spot, because we know it's even better than GPS positioning or any kind of geofencing. Like, the technologies are just bigger and better.
So,
and more importantly, think about how much money Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and, you know, the new threads are making off of people sharing content, right? But the individuals don't really make money. The influencers make money if they influence you enough to make a purchase. But it's really about the software companies, the development companies, the platforms. And that is truly the way of the future. It's the platforms that have value, nothing else. And so we spend our time trying to build alcohol companies and then working really hard at developing technologies to help accelerate the sales of our products, right? I've given up on that. I've now spent the last 2 years figuring out what are the new platforms of the future. Then I'm going to throw the alcohol on the platforms, because it's just too hard. It's too hard to keep up. By the way, I did close on my Mad Rabbit Distillery in Denver is now mine as well. And then the Alabama Distilling Company and the Alabama Brewing Company. And we also got the press release is going out. We got our first out-of-state distiller's license in Pennsylvania. So that's a first for anybody to get an in-state license in Pennsylvania as an out-of-state distiller.
And how do you benefit from that, Paula? Do you automatically get into their PLC?
Absolutely, don't have to go through the state stores for any of the products. But more importantly, their rules are pretty lax in being able to ship direct to consumers. So now I can ship direct to consumers anywhere in Pennsylvania. Don't need to go through a distributor or a retail fulfillment center. And then I can ship direct to retail.
Do you have to have real estate there?
I do. Well, I'm open, but I'm looking for, I will have 6 satellite offices in Pennsylvania. That's the max you can have under law. And the other advantage is under Pennsylvania law, you can ship. So my winery, I haven't closed on it yet, but I'm pretty close. I've been sampling all the wines. So I will have a winery in Pennsylvania to allow that when I'm doing direct to consumer on the wine club, I will be able to put in the liquor bottles as well. So it was just a good state to try to bypass some of this. And
Can I call you on that? Because I own in Pennsylvania along with a couple of other states, but I would definitely, but you have to have commercial property there, right?
You have to set up, you have to have some partner that's setting up the distillery and the fulfillment center.
That's not a
Yeah.
problem, because I own
And it
commercial
can,
property.
and it can be retail.
Really?
It can be retail.
Does that work in Alabama too? Since it,
I don't think so. So Alabama has been a struggle in getting all the licensing. We just got, we're in the town of New Hope, so we just got our final approvals from the state. And it's challenging. Not like any other. I mean, I'm in South Carolina. That's the worst of the worst. So if you can take South Carolina and Texas together, that's like my life. It's not as bad, but it's definitely, they are not as up to date in Alabama with what's going on in alcohol and distilling. There's a lot of internal arguments over the interpretation of their laws, like every state, I guess. But Alabama, there's just not that many facilities in Alabama for them to have worked through their kinks.
yeah, I have, I'm building a distribution center on a property that I own in Notasulga, which is not far from, what's the name of it? What's that college? It's in Lee County. What's the name of that big school? Alabama?
I don't
Football
know.
team. Auburn. Yeah, I couldn't even think of it. Yeah, so I'm building a distribution center for the teas and my non-alcoholic products, but I eventually would like to have either a distillery or something there, you know, because it's a big property.
Yeah, I think it's pretty, they're very receptive to bringing it into the space. I put a ad up on LinkedIn that I'm looking for a new master distiller. So if anybody has any leads, I am looking for somebody. I did get a lot of people applying, but not the quality of what, not at the level of what we're looking for. It was more newbies or people who are, you know, testing out the space. And I am also looking for a CFO. So if anybody has any leads or connections.
You should look up abvjobs.com. abvjobs.com. The young lady, she's in Virginia. That's her site.
Okay.
She's actually, I forgot her name. She actually moonshines, but she's still up. And she goes to people's facility. She's worked with Marianne. Yeah, abvjobs.com. I forgot.
Thank you.
Nice young lady.
Did you list it with ADI also? Because they list.
I did not. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Okay.
In their email, they always have it listed.
I know. I forgot about it. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
And just to suggest as well, the Institute of Brewing and Distilling, throw it up there as well, ibd.org.uk. They have various message boards and stuff.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I got a message from a student in Scotland that was just going to be graduating like in 6 months and said, you know, if I still had the position, he wanted to come from Scotland. I was like, that's kind of cool. You never know on LinkedIn.
You never know.
You never know.
So Michael Clancy, thank you for that info. And I had a lovely, but a very productive call with your brother a few weeks ago. So I've learned a lot more about you and your business model with that information. So thank you for that. What's new in your world?
Okay, so just 1 second now. My screen has something. Microsoft has just popped something up here in front of me that I'm trying to get down on. Minimize off. Just minimize off the screen. Hang on a second. It's just, yeah, there we go. No, so I'm back. Yeah, so what's new? So, well, I think when you were talking to Peter, I was away on holidays, so I was away in Croatia. I know Brian was in touch with me about his trip to Ireland, and apologies, Brian, I didn't get to get back to you on that before I went, so you'll just have to come again. And
no reason to go back.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I had a couple of relaxing, or nearly two nice relaxing weeks in Croatia, which is pretty good. Back straight into the thick of things last week, and then I was over at Imbibe UK on Monday and Tuesday of this week. So, which is a drinks trade fair, kind of like a mini BCB, but very much UK market focused. And it was the first time I was at it. Much smaller event than I would have thought, and not as well attended as I would have thought as well. So, but still some quite useful conversations and leads and stuff out of it. But definitely, a smaller thing than I would have thought of. So I met our mutual friend Stephen Gould was there. So Stephen, there was a discus stand across from me with a number of US brands. So I had a good chat with Stephen, and even got the chance to sample some bourbon and rye on the 4th of July with some other American colleagues. So that was good. What else? Just made a couple of comments there just as I was listening to other people. So Cami, thank you for sharing the thing about the Peace Corps certificate. That's quite interesting. I think I'll go into that for my own education. It's I know I did the WSET course back during COVID, and Peace Corps was something that I was quite intrigued by at the time. So I'll definitely do that, and keen to learn a little bit more about it. What else? You were talking about QR codes there. So just interestingly, I was talking with somebody on QR codes earlier today. So we actually use a package called QR Code Studio, which is pretty good for this. There's really good kind of stats at the back of it. It's 180 euros a year, and what those are what are called dynamic QR codes. So basically, you can change the web link that's behind them, which is pretty handy. If you use the kind of free online QR code generators, there's no guarantee that QR code will still scan as the same thing in 3 or 4 months time. So I just need to be very cautious of that. So that's all I'm at. You guys probably know all this stuff anyway, but I'm just throwing it out there just in case. What else? What else? The Imbibe show was, interesting. Still a huge amount of gin in the UK market, a huge amount of kind of gin brands and stuff, but there's been a lot of information out there about that kind of gin is very much plateaued, and it's coming back in terms of numbers in the UK market, which kind of would have been apparent to us, and it would be similar in Ireland, but it's kind of quite significant, I think, the decline in sales in the UK for gin, kind of across all levels of the business, but there's still lots of people trying to sell it in the UK anyway, so it's quite a competitive market.
What is the explanation for the gin softening? Is it
Just,
being replaced by whiskeys or?
No, so it's funny because one of the things that keeps, you keep seeing articles on about 2 or 3 times a year, you keep seeing articles about, the time for rum has come, and basically that rum has taken, is increasing, and certainly rum sales are increasing in the UK, and there's a number of the smaller distillers that are around a good while that would have started off with gin, and a lot of them are now making rum, either distilling it themselves or else importing rum and blending and finishing it themselves. Spiced rum is by far and away the biggest selling SKU for any of those. So that's certainly eating into it. People have just gone back to vodkas, people have gone back to flavored vodkas, and what has happened is people have there's less money in pockets, and people have kind of scaled back from the kind of premium gins and the premium gin with the Fever Tree. They've gone back to standard gin and standard Fever Tree, or else they've moved on to the next thing, which is a flavored vodka or you know, maybe it's a pink gin. We actually have a pink gin now, which is something that we kind of wouldn't have started out doing, but that sells reasonably well. And it's the younger crowd who drink that, and they drink it with white lemonade or 7-Up, instead of tonic, because they don't like the bitterness. They like sweet. So that's what's kind of, you know, there's plenty of that selling. Yeah, so that's, I mean, in terms of where has the thing gone, I think it's just scaled back, and people are not the on trade, and this would be the same as here. People are not out as much. People who are drinking those premium serves are probably staying at home and drinking a little bit more at home rather than going out at the weekend and having, you know, 3 or 4 gin and tonics, premium gin and tonics. The people who are out having 3 and 4 and 5 gin and tonics they're having the cheaper stuff.
So it's the economics that are having.
It's the economics, I would say, and also, you know, this is something that certainly you're familiar with the kind of Copa glasses, the big fishbowl glasses. The bar guys just hate those, and you know, so that almost since COVID, a lot of the bar guys have kind of, once they've kind of reopened, have sort of said, no, I'm not dealing with those bloody glasses. They're a nuisance. We're just back to serving gin and highball glasses. So that's kind of, you know, would have scaled that back. But it's economics. It's the money in a lot of cases. But interestingly, there's some stats I saw where rum was selling more than whiskey in the UK, which is pretty impressive. Like,
The land of Scotch.
Yeah.
Being overtaken by.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of the quick round update. I'm only back at it since the middle of last week, and I'm just kind of catching up, and then 2 days away this week. So it just I'm not fully back into the swing of things. So.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Yeah, thank you.
I do have one other question, and maybe Ernesto
Yeah.
can answer this, but what about tequila in the UK and Europe in general?
There seems to be quite a buzz around tequila as well in the UK. Tequila, and less so around mezcal, but there was definitely plenty of tequila brands and definitely plenty of interest around tequila in the UK. But I would say probably not as much as there is in the US. One of the things, actually, interestingly, there's a brand. It's an Irish brand. It's an Irish produced brand. It's called Tequila Rose. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Been
So
around
that's
for a
that.
long time.
Sorry.
It's been around for a long time, Tequila Rose.
Yeah.
Used
So
to
that's
be a
going.
black bottle. I don't know if it still is.
That's going gangbusters at the moment here, and certainly seems to be quite popular in the UK as well. It's basically a tequila-based cream liqueur with kind of raspberry or strawberry or undefined red berry flavors in it. It's pink, and it's kind of often drank as a shot. You know, but that sells a lot of stuff.
It's amazing, because that brand probably came on the market about 30 years ago in the US.
Yeah. And I think it's McCormick Distilling Company own it.
McCormick,
Yeah, so they own a brand, an Irish cream liqueur called Five Farms, which is a fantastic product, a real kind of premium product. But then this is also in their portfolio, but they're selling very much to different markets. But the Five Farms is a fantastic product, really, really good, really high quality, super product.
Mm-hmm.
Strawberry cream.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, I think it's strawberry or raspberry or some red berries anyway. But
I'm reading the website. It's strawberry cream liqueur. Unless they have other, that's the whole thing about strawberry cocktails, strawberry cream soda.
Yeah.
and it's making a tour through Europe. Ryan, are you holding your hand up?
I have a quick question. Does anyone have any insight on how Can Sangria, and Carrie's not here, which is probably the source for this, but on how Can Sangria is doing in the US?
I don't have a clue. That's
Eric.
below my, that's above my pay grade.
Well, I don't know, maybe Eric knows. He's in the canning business now.
Well, more
He's a-
distilling. It's just canning pays the bills right now. So
Yeah.
Gary's a girl, but her seat's just empty, and you know she knows, right?
Where is Karen?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what kind of ride she's in because those seats look pretty damn sporty.
Right.
Yeah,
I do want to let everyone know, we've got a term sales rep with our brand ambassadors, the elevated brand ambassadors, where you can put boots on the ground for 4 to 6 months as a term sales rep. So if anyone's trying to launch a brand that wants support like that doesn't want to bring on a full-time employee, you do have the chance to absorb them at the end of the contract if you want to do a direct hire. But it's a way to gain accounts, placements, features, build that relationship, and then hand it over to a distributor if you have it, or let it ride on its own for a little bit and see what happens. So we do have that program that we've been getting a lot of questions about. So if anyone's in need of that, just reach out and let me know.
I'm looking at that too. I've been using BevStrat. Has anybody used them before? With Brian Rosen's. I've been using him for about 8 months right now.
Do you like
it? Their team is thrilled to death with our results. Me, not so much. So I'm looking for alternatives. And then I've been interviewing.
Which markets? What markets?
This is for New York. We're doing New York only on the first run, but it's been like 8 months now.
Results, Paula.
What's that?
What are the results, like per rep? What are they gaining?
They're opening about a location a week. It's not terrible. Like they're saying, they're like, I've known Brian for many of us for a very long time. So he kept saying, okay, I've been watching you for 10 years, like do something, like take the plunge. But we ended up getting a new distributor in New York. And so I thought, I'm not going to rely just on the distributor. Let me put some feet on the ground. So I was really my hallucination was that if I got Brian involved and he was actively learning about my brands because he was having to train his people to represent and sell the brands, and then he'd have to pay attention to the brand, that would be my leadway in to having him reach to his network for an expansion. So with BevStrat has several divisions now for purchasing brands. So before I started doing all my distilleries, I thought that was like an exit for me. So I bit the bullet. I was literally just buying his Rolodex. Like I didn't expect to have any great results. And then he said, your story is catching on so amazingly. Like our teams are opening one location a week. We are getting some reorders. But so in 8 months, we've opened like 40 locations and probably 24 of them have reordered. However, the expense compared to the size of the orders is just not there. And so he said, your numbers are higher than when we launched Rabbit Hole. And he said, so you are that's what he would compare me to. He said, keep going. We're not seeing conversion rates like this. But for me, again, I look at just the numbers and I'm like, it just feels like it could be putting money better, somewhere else. So then I was introduced to, it's like commissionclub.com where they take your listing, they put it out to all of their reps that work on commission only. And then you work with them, you train them, and then that's an opportunity. And I did actually get a good lead out of that from a group that does in France that does bulk sales on cognac. So it did develop a relationship when I used that program before that worked out for me. But right now we have distribution in almost every state. What I need is people on the ground, and I don't want to I don't want to have to manage too much, right? I just want to train people, get them out there, and I don't know.
We manage the people for you, but we design the full program. So it's not sales reps just going, getting placements and leaving, they actually do things in the account to build the relationship over those 4 to 6 months with consistent stops in the account.
I'm interested, so if you can hit me up, Bree Braxton at Black Mama Vodka, because the group of us I have several different brands that I make for, and especially now with Ron, I have Ron Isley, so I want to be able to utilize him and my other brands and have boots in the ground in different areas. Now you're covering, what markets are you covering with your program?
Hold on. Oh, we're nationwide. My team's nationwide. So we train and educate them all. And the more you train at once, and the more you have, obviously, the more affordable it gets. But they'll execute promotions. They will do staff tasting trainings. They'll, obviously gain placements. So it's a good program. I mean, we've done it with existing brands and we've increased triple digits every time. So it's 400%, 600% in the next program. Like, it's been pretty great.
I really would like to talk to you, and the integration would have to be, though, and I'm sure you would be open to this, is educating them to be able to still give out or educate on online e-commerce, because I'm moving that way, right? Everything I'm trying to do is blockchain and digital, but we still need a presence, and we still want people to be able to buy products at a brick and mortar because of the expense of fulfillment and home delivery with FedEx 21. I have talked to FedEx 21 though. I don't remember what the name of the program is, but they're piloting a couple of new programs for ease of distribution to homes. So they are working on these programs. Obviously, if we're thinking of it, they're thinking of it too, right? So they know the way of the future, and I'm hoping that those things are going to get facilitated and quicker. Even with the pilots that were going on in some of the states for home delivery with drones, they have to be within a 30-minute location of the retailer. I don't know if you've seen those, but those home delivery opportunities, somebody's going to crack somewhere and allow Uber or Drizzly or something, right, to happen, because this is just so crazy. But anyway.
Wine delivers. You're talking about delivery of alcohol?
Yes.
Total Wine delivers. Just got a shipment 2 days ago.
I know, but it's dependent on the states. I'm just saying that when we get to the point where, we can be more lax in every state, much more of a universal law.
It's happening.
Quick question. Were you able to talk to Worldwide Express? Because I got a call from a gentleman named Brian from Worldwide.
Yeah. Yes, I did talk to
them with them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think they got some good things going on. I think they're fighting. Right now it's not there, right? It's still just it's the same, but they're putting a new label on it. But right now it's still the same. They're still stuck in the same laws that the same current laws.
No, I thought, was it Ryan? I thought you said you were going to see if you can have someone come and meet with the group.
I would love to, if you guys are open to it. I spent the weekend with them. They've got their liquor license. They're learning the ways. Unfortunately, they were diving into Tennessee first. And I was like, no, that is the worst.
Yeah.
There are 5 people that are not your friends, and Tennessee is one of them. So
why are you going to Tennessee? The gentleman I spoke to, Brian, he was they were doing California. Like, I think that's what he said, California.
they have their statewide distribution. I've educated them on the distribution warehouses and some of the loopholes we created over the weekend for those, like I said earlier, that don't want to put their product in the investment into a warehouse, that want to keep shipping it themselves for whatever reason. We created a loophole for that over the weekend. And it's just a matter of how much of the gray area are you comfortable with? We've got obviously our black and white areas.
I'm comfortable with all of it. I'm blur lines, okay?
I say,
What do you
hey,
got?
ask for forgiveness and tell them you interpreted that law to be this way and just thank them for educating us. So Vanessa, I'll email you. We can talk sidebar, but anyone interested in getting connected with Worldwide or jumping on a webinar, Zoom call, whatever.
I
may
think
be.
it would be worth extending an invite just because I think there are a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And they might be able to answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're gonna, I mean, they're hitting everybody anyway, so we might as well get them on a group. I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about this or not, but I'm probably less than 2 months out where you will be able to come onto my storefront. And it's probably gonna be gone through Skirt, not Straight Pig. We are still debating. And set up your own store. And we have e-commerce fulfillment ready to go. So we're in all states. I think there's 2 that you can still add, but they're prohibitive on the expense, like, you know, I don't know what it is, Alaska and some other one, I can't remember. But the fulfillment center is ready to go. We're doing the test pilots. And then not only will the consumer be able to order their product and have it delivered to their home, but any shared content, they're gonna get paid for. So they become the sales force. That's why I said I have to work with you to, yes, we need it on the ground, but we need to also institute and let them be aware of, we want every single person that walks into a liquor store to leave that liquor store being a brand ambassador for us. We want them to be able, you know, to open their wallet and share the love. What do you care?
Say, hey, I had this great striped pig cocktail, and click here, you can get it. You can order it yourself. Here's the ingredients.
And there's so
And then
much
they get-
sharing going on that you don't have to worry. And because you've opened your wallet, if somebody makes the purchase and you're within that stream, you're going to get instantly paid. We're trying to make it that we can have multiple payment mechanisms, meaning different tokens as well.
So
Paula,
if I'm a consumer, what am I gonna get paid if 5 of my
You wouldn't-
friends buy a bottle of something?
Well, you probably US dollars, but I'm saying we're trying now to get that you could get Dogecoin, that you could get Bitcoin, that you could get Ethereum. That's what we're trying to institute because we want to be able to have global shares on things that are non-alcoholic, or if they're going to invest in a barrel of bourbon.
Interesting.
Paula, so
Mhm.
when you do the fulfillment for the brand, will we be able to have the customer's data? Because that's
Yes, we
always
will.
been-
Yes,
okay,
we
good.
will have it all. We will have all of it.
So the brands will be able to see who ordered, their email, because that's the data is always the key.
We'll have all the data and all the shared tracking information.
You'll have it, but will the brand have it?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes. we will
okay.
Listen, it behooves me because I now will get paid on every one of your sales. So we're attacking the industry. We're putting this together as a platform to present to the industry on marketing, on manufacturing, on direct to consumer sales. And this company, let me just tell you, they own the largest distillery in India. They have created a fund. They want to buy as many, I'm putting this out there. They want to buy as many distilleries and breweries in the United States as possible. So if you know anybody with some positive EBITDA that wants to have this conversation, I'm already reaching out to some of the key distilleries that have 5-10 million in EBITDA. That would be the sweet spot, but we will look at things that are a little lower. They have money coming in from so many countries to build this spiritful fund. And they are the most progressive humanitarians on the planet that I have ever met. And they look at this from the perspective of the consumer. And then how do we change the laws and change the platforms to allow these things to legally happen without breaking any of the government laws. But we get focused on the United States, except for, thank you for sharing the more global perspectives here. But we are in our own little world a lot of the time, and we don't know what is going out there. So to have relationships with these people, one of the founders is the 10th wealthiest man on the planet. And I've now been to his home 3 times. We're also build the distillery brewery concept with a new hotels, timeshares, resorts, because we're trying to educate them to be able to set up so they are not having to go through a distributor in their direct consumer, their interaction with their retail with the consumer. And that is catching on. We're getting a lot of interest, especially in the new designs of the PGA golf courses. So it's big. It's big stuff. It's really big stuff. It's overwhelming to keep everything moving forward. But if you go to the website now on the Striped Pig, you can see you can see how seamless it looks. And we're
We
just
have homework to do. We have to do that. But I would like to throw out there that we've got David and Eric and Ernesto, who we haven't really heard from. So I want to make sure they're all being very good listeners. But if anybody has something that they want to throw into the conversation, either same topic or newer, feel free. This is the moment.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is very interesting. Yes, I'm being a very good listener. Just to recap of the whole conversation, online retailers, about 20% of my retailers here in California ship online. They do pretty good for us. And we don't really do anything directly with the consumer. We do a lot of events, a lot of stuff like that here in SoCal and throughout, but our we just jump onto our closest retailer that will be able to ship whenever we do events and, order from, the Karama, Remedy, whatever, stores in San Diego, stores in San Francisco. QR codes. We have our QR code on our bottle. On our Cholo Squinkle.
And where does that lead to?
It goes to a link tree. So it goes to a link tree, and you can see the website. You can see our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and when you do go to any of those, there is a buy now button on all of them. So you could purchase.
Oh, you just went on mute.
All right, am I back? Yeah, there you go.
Back.
Okay, so and just a last little thing, with the agave, as of this week, there's a big stink going on in Mexico. I'm sure some of you know this with the agave that the price has plummeted. So there's some interesting things are going to be happening in the next. I figure from now to the end of the year. With agave in particular, tequila prices are not going to go anywhere for sure. But just as far as agave goes, it's going to be interesting what's going to be happening because there is a glut.
Is it what's the reason?
A glut. There's too much. They're saying there's
After all of the shortages, there's now a glut.
Yeah, they're saying there's 8 times the amount of agave necessary for current production. Having said that, just like Mr. Clancy is saying, tequila is growing like crazy. And I mean, we don't ship anything to Europe. Everything that we produce as brand owners, it comes to me here in California, and then we ship out to a handful of states. We're not in a lot of states. And there's still a huge market for tequila in Asia, in Europe. I mean, even in African country and the continent, so it's really, really interesting talking about India. We get hit up a lot as far as distribution or importers in these countries. We're about to open up for one of our brands to ship to Vietnam, and they're telling us that they want like another 10 in the contract. They added like another 10 countries for Asia. So there's a glut. But the potential for tequila, the demand for tequila is still really, really big. So we think it's going to be okay as agave producers, because we have everything. We produce agave, we produce the tequilas, the brands, and then we're here importing and distributing. And just as a quick recap, that's really it. And what you guys are all talking about is very interesting. All this technology stuff. I think I'm tech savvy, but you guys just blew my mind with all the stuff that's going on.
Leave it to Paula for that.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, and by the way, Carrie has been back for a little bit. Do we want to ask her the question? That, Carrie, Ryan was asking the question of, what's the status of canned sangria? Are you seeing that as a factor in the market? Oh, she's frozen.
I mean, no. I mean, do I see it? Yes. Do I feel like it's affecting the wine business? No. I think the other RTDs are affecting it more than canned sangria.
Do you feel there's an opportunity? It's a growing space. Yeah. Do you think it's a growing product in the industry, or do you think it won't make it?
I don't think it'll make it. I really think they've tried several boxes. I think it would be easier for people to make their own sangria than to fork out the money to purchase it in a can. I just thinking about going in business too. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's worth the investment.
Right. There you have it. Eric's, anything you want to throw into the mix?
Not throw into the mix, but I appreciate everyone. This, as some others have said, this was eye-opening, and I got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what dreaming big looks like, because this is ridiculous what some of you are doing. Like, it's crazy. So I'll be reaching out to a few of you, because there's some definitely some things I want to discuss. So I appreciate everyone. Thanks.
And David?
Just a comment, Ernesto, it's my understanding, yeah, I know about the agave prices going down. But if you're a producer and you have a contract with a grower currently, you still have to honor the price that you signed on for, isn't that correct?
Correct. If you have the contracts. What we have, the benefit that we have as brand owners and agave producers is even for us, if the agave price plummets, we're going to turn the agave into tequila anyway.
Right.
So it's just going to be cheaper for us to make the tequila that we're bringing in for our own production.
Exactly.
And like I said, even if we have a huge potential for growth, because we're not, like I said, we're looking for distribution throughout the United States and throughout the world of our brands. Right now we have 7 brands that are ours, our house brands. So at the end of the day, even if the agave is worth nothing, we have the agreements with the distilleries, which are different distilleries that we work with for the different brands, that we'll just bring our own agaves and we'll turn it into tequila and sell it as finished product.
Yeah, Ernesto, what is the spot price right now per kilo?
They were saying yesterday, 10 pesos a kilo.
Wow.
When it
last
was,
last I heard it was about 16 or 17, and that was only about 3 weeks ago.
Correct. Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, it was hovering around 30.
Yeah. So, a little over 30 actually. Yeah. For Los Altos. Yeah. Crazy times.
Yeah. So we still have agave production. Actually, I just got back a week ago today from San Jose de Gracia, Tepa, Los Altos de Jalisco, and we went to go see one of our farms. We've got 35 hectares of agave, and it's 2 years old. So we're gonna hang in there and keep moving forward and keep planting. We planted again this year, and we're gonna plant next year, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So Ernesto, so when I call my guy and he tried to give me yesterday's price, I'm gonna call you for today's price, okay?
Yeah, you call me. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Vanessa. The tequila itself is I mean, it's been a week, right? It's been this week. It has not been affected, and I don't really think it's gonna get affected as far as
the agave. I just import I'm gonna be hitting him up, and then when he gives me a different price, I'm calling you for that tote.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah,
for sure. I'm ready. And the thing is that right now, in the next month or so, there are going to be some panic sales of even tequila, of even liquid. They're like, oh shit, this is gonna go, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down like it did 10, 15 years ago. I've got, 10,000, 5,000, 100,000, 200,000 liters of Blanco, of mixto, whatever, and I need to dump it. So there will be that opportunity. If everybody's ready, like, okay, it's available, somebody comes up, hey, I've got it, boom, and just pick it up as quickly as possible, because there is already some panicking going on.
You're talking about the maquila market then, right? Just for the juice, yeah.
Yeah, just the juice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the tequila, the distilleries themselves, they're not worried. They keep supplying, they keep producing. They'll just store it, and that's where I come across that the tequila itself is not gonna drop.
People in the United States are not even aware of how much tequila that that's being produced by other factories that are going into a bottle that you currently buy or you're familiar with brand wise. 75% of all the tequila that's produced in Mexico right now, it has some or all of maquila in it. That means it's kind of like a cellared and bottled by or made in bottled by, on a California designation label on a bottle of wine. So
that is correct. Yeah. When the handful of distilleries that we work with, we're there and we're bottling, because we go to every bottling, because we do, and we as a family, it's all family, my children and myself, and we're the ones that run all this. So we go down there and we do the profiling of every bottling, because everything's small batch. And we see the trucks pull up with the big brands that I'm sure all you guys know, these big brands pull up, and they, okay, what's that taking? Oh, we just sold them, 80,000 liters of 55% tequila, and you can see the the logo, the big brand logo on the door of the truck, and they're just weighing it. And, okay, it's going out there, and they just go and they bottle it over there. They may rectify it or do a little bit of tweaking, but those, most of them they're producing, but they don't produce enough, and that comes back to the agave thing. Even the biggies can't produce enough tequila for their own supply.
correct.
Well, that's basically what's happened in the bourbon world over the past several years as well.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Well, I wanted to thank you all. This has been great. Bill Mendoza, so was it worth it? You're muted, but.
We'll take it as a yes.
Definitely learned a lot. Great to be on. Thanks for having me. And I look forward to helping you guys. And I definitely look forward to the help you've been giving and the discussions we've been having.
All right, well, thank you. Thank everybody. Also, take a look at the chats. We've got a lot of good stuff going on before we get off here. Brian's asking, but if anyone's going to Tales of the Cocktail, if they'd like to hook up. And Ryan's also offering international brokerage connections. So, all right, well, everyone have a great rest of your July. Stephanie, what is the date?
August 4th. So I will be sending out everyone's contact information again this afternoon, along with the recording of the session and the chat. So you can go through that. I know there were a lot of connections that were made, so be sure to follow up. Again, you'll see it this afternoon, and we hope to see you on the 4th of August at 11:30 Eastern.
All right, thank you, Cammie. She's given us discount codes as well as insights.
Yeah, I forgot to shout out the Agave Spirits Institute. They're doing really cool education. I'm part of their ambassador program, so there's a discount there. It's a really cool agave learning program.
Great. All right.
Let's pick that one up as well.
Perfect.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Mike,
folks. Thanks a
drive
million.
home.
Probably Vanessa.
Okay, I will.
Bye, everyone.